Hey everybody, Poppin' Fresh here. Here with a new draft league, Lysandre's Cafe Draft. I like the theme of it. I like the flavor. We're going down to Team Flair's lab to figure out all the horrible abominations they have cooked up down there. All these weird mons with different abilities that they shouldn't have, and it just feels wrong, but it feels right, you know? So, this is a almost any ability league, which means any Pokemon I pick can have almost any ability. So that means things like Archeops, Regigigas are no longer bound by having really shite abilities, or things with mediocre abilities get really good ones, and mons that are kind of saved or pretty much function entirely around their abilities have a lot less value here, because I could just run something else that could do that. So before we get started, we'll take a look at the rules, because this is this league's first season. So we set up, well, I didn't. They set up the rules, and these are kind of important on how I ended up formatting my team, because I had to work within this rule set, right? So any mon that has any of the following abilities, any mon that I pick cannot have any of these abilities I'm about to list unless it would normally have them. So that's Contrary, Simple. Those are both great stat boosting abilities. Contrary for like Leaf Storm stuff, or Draco Meteor. I mean, Superior gets that, and Superior's dog shit without it. So imagine if something good like Latios were to get that. Super busted. Simple makes Shell Smash just disgusting. Stakeout is really potent. It's only on the Donald Trump Pokemon, Gumshoes. I legitimately forgot his name. It's only on that, I think, and it's super powerful, and it does extra damage if they switch out. So it's great. It's essentially like, it's not quite Pursuit, but it has the same kind of idea where if you switch, it punishes you heavily, and it's kind of more versatile than Pursuit is, because it's not on just a 40 power Dark type move. It can be anything. It can be physical, it can be special. If you switch, you're getting severely punished for it. Illusion, because that's absolutely busted if you don't know that there's a Zoroark on the opponent's team. I used to play a lot of balanced hackmons, and Illusion just totally destroyed the meta once people started figuring out that they could use that. Imposter, that's to prevent having imposter proof your entire team, which is another thing from balanced hackmons that was really annoying. But part of what made that metagame the way it is essentially you can't just have something with a lot of HP coming in, copying you all your stat boost, and running a choice scarf and reverse sweeping your entire team, because again, that's not a really healthy metagame. Wonder Guard for obvious reasons, Pure Power and Huge Power for obvious reasons, Fur Coat for slightly less obvious reasons, but it's just doubling your defense, which is a lot. Fluffy is allowed, but it's funny, I actually didn't know that Fluffy doesn't actually double your defense. It just doubles your resistance to contact moves, but gives you a fire weakness. I thought it was this exact same thing as Fur Coat, so the more you know. Water Bubble, because it's like 15 abilities in one. Ice Scales, because it's essentially special Fur Coat. Comatose, because if you are asleep, another thing I used to do, you could, if you run Comatose, your Pokemon's treated as always asleep. So then if you have something fast with Sleep Talk, you can start cycling with you can start cycling with phasing moves that are not at -6 priority, so you can go faster than everything and keep whirlwinding or roaring them out, and they just rack up hazard damage. And unless they're faster than you or have Prankster, there's nothing they can do about it, because you can keep bypassing those moves low priority by using Sleep Talk, because you're always asleep. Libero and Protean are obviously busted. Parental Bond, I don't even think it works if you give that to a different Pokemon besides Mega Kanga. Inner's Out, that's just kind of to have so you can't just have a guaranteed KO sack kind of thing, like throw in Chansey, have no investment besides HP, it dies in one hit, take something out. And last but not least, Speed Boost on Mega Evolutions except Sharpedo. I really don't know what that clause means, but I'm just assuming Speed Boost is probably banned. And there are a couple that are just completely banned, which is Guerrilla Tactics, Arena Trap, Shadow Tag, and Neutralizing Gas, for obvious reasons. Neutralizing Gas was a bit of a confusing one for me, but it just apparently really kind of bogs down the creativity of this game, and a lot of mons in this are going to be reliant on their abilities. So if you can just come in, blanket shut everything off, and just play with no abilities at all, that's just kind of a buzzkill. A couple things to note though is there are a few abilities that are not banned, one of which is Intrepid Sword, which I was all on board the ban Intrepid Sword train, but it was not the decision that was made, so I'm gonna roll with it. It definitely has counterplay. You can also just run Dauntless Shield. You can run Unaware. You can run a Prankster with Haze or something like that. So I don't think it's going to be as dominating this league as I originally thought it would be. There's definitely a lot of counterplay that I hadn't really considered and hadn't really realized how easily it can be counterplayed around, especially because it's obvious. It's not like guerrilla tactics where it's hidden. You don't know why he's doing so much damage, and then you just get blown away. Whereas Intrepid Sword, you come in it, you know what it has Intrepid Sword, and then you just go from there. One last thing before I go on, you can only have 2 of each ability on your team, so you can't have an entire team of like poison heal. You can only have 2 of them. And the same goes for duplicate abilities like Mold Breaker and Terrorbolt and all that stuff. So let's go over to the good old Phoenix Suns and see what I got. So I think in this league, really in just this metagame as a whole, I think offense is probably a lot more viable than defense, because there's a good amount of defensive abilities, but I think there's a lot more potent offensive ones. I mean, the good defensive ones are like Poison Heal, Fluffy, I guess Multi-Scale, that kind of thing. And some immunity abilities like Volt Absorb or Sap Sipper. But beyond that, it's the offensive ones that have the all the extra support behind them. I mean, there's Tough Claws, Adaptability. Those are just 2 of the big ones that come to mind, but there's so many potent offensive abilities. The weather abilities can be run on anything. You can run Technician on weird mons. You can run Magic Guard with a Life Orb. Magic Guard is kind of like the best ability in this, I think, so I'll probably be running that a lot. So that out of the way, I've been blabbering on for 6 minutes. Let's talk about who I picked. So right off the bat, I wanted to pick Dragapult because it is super duper fast. It's super strong. It has the ability to run a whole bunch of cool abilities in this league. And then it got picked 2 people before me. So I wanted something else that could kind of fill that hole where it was fast, potent, and it has the ability to kind of go mixed offensively and still take maybe 1 hit before it dies. And funny enough, I think I actually ended up getting something that's probably better than Dragapult. Well, maybe not better, but I see more potential in it than Dragapult, and that is Zeraora. So let's go into the team builder and take a look at what this guy can do. So let's delete Volt Absorb because that is not true. So Zeraora, it's actually relatively similar to Dragapult in base stats. It just is a little bit less physically offensive focused in exchange for, I think that's almost like exactly Dragapult's defensive stats, 88, 75, and then 80. Just take a little bit off of his physical attack, put a little extra special attack, and then get 1 extra point of speed. So it's super fast, and it has a couple traits that are really, really nice that I think are gonna go well for me this season. It has a lot more type coverage than Dragapult does for its physical offense. So if we look at this, I mean, just off the bat, we sort by power. We've got close combat, we've got low kick if you need it, plasma fists, play rough, even blaze kick. So it can do a lot of different things, and with just those moves alone, it has ridiculous coverage. It also gets knockoff, which is crucial down there. But at the same time, I also, you would look at this thing and think, oh, the best way to stop that would be some kind of bulky ground type that's physically defensive, right? Like a Hippowdon. But I also get Grass Knot, which off of this thing's 102 special attack is going to do a lot of damage. And something that's super cool is that Grass Knot gets boosted by Tough Claws, which if I run, there's plenty of Zeraora sets I can run that are entirely contact moves that all would get boosted by Tough Claws, even if it's a special move. So Hippowdon is not a counter to Zeraora. And it's due to those reasons that Zeraora is actually currently banned in almost any ability metagame. I think pretty much exactly for that. It can do the Tough Claws stuff with Life Orb, or it can even do Magic Guard with the Life Orb, and it's super, super versatile, incredibly fast. I can use it as a pivoter because it gets Volt Switch. I hope. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. I can do Volt Switch. I can do all sorts of things with this guy. And typically, and I also get Fake Out. So if I wanted to do something like Pixelate or Electrify or Galvanize or something like that, I can get the boosted Fake Out with a boosted normal type, something like Return or something of that nature, and just do lots and lots of damage. So I think Zeraora is a super good pick and going to put in a lot of work. The next mon that I wanted, 3 of the mons on my team, I just wanted to see what had been banned in the past from this metagame and was available on this draft board. And the next one was, oops, not that one, Melmetal. This big beefy boy has ridiculous stats. He is the ultimate physical wall, the best type, super high HP, super high defense, special defense, not so great, but slap a life or an assault vest on it, you'll be fine. And Melmetal kind of has a similar role of Zeraora, and where it is just a absolute breaker, where Zeraora can pivot and kind of clean in the end game. So I guess it's not similar to Zeraora. I don't know why I said that. But Melmetal is an absolute breaker, and it really just needs double Iron Bash, honestly. 120 power because it hits twice. If you're slower than it for some reason, I mean, there's not many things that are going to be it's going to be outspeeding, but if it does, it has like a 50% chance to flinch you after the 30% chances. And it just gets a lot of powerful moves, honestly. I can do self-destruct if I needed to, but between Earthquake, High Horsepower, which I might need to run in case they run grassy terrain, Double Iron Bash, Ice Punch, it pretty much just destroys everything. Honestly, there's not many weeks where I won't be running Double Iron Bash on it, because it just does so much damage. And if I need it to be a wall, I can also run something like Acid Armor with Body Press, which does a ton of damage. Mainly the thing about Metal is I'm gonna need to play around. It's pretty low special defense, and as long as I can eliminate those threats and get it in safely and be able to break things, I can give it like Technician for a 50% boost. I can give it Tinted Lens for a double for double damage on resists, so essentially nothing resists it, and it just has a lot of potential and a lot of ways to do ridiculous amounts of damage incredibly quickly. It's definitely a bit slow, weak on the special side, but no matter how low your special defense is, if you have 135 HP, you're gonna tank one hit at least. So those are my first two picks, and kind of just going with the theme of things that were either banned in the past or like ranked really highly. I looked at the current ranking of all the mods in the current almost any ability metagame, and I saw Swampert right up there at the top, so I went ahead and picked it. So from what I see online, Swampert, I mean, from all the sets I saw, people typically run it with Regenerator, which makes sense. It gets flip turn now, so it's super good at pivoting. It's really slow. It's really bulky, actually. And it gets Stealth Rock. Really, honestly, Stealth Rock, Toxic, Flip Turn, and Earthquake is... I could totally just run that every week and be totally okay with it. It could do a lot of work. But it also has the ability to be offensive. I could run it with anything like... I don't know. I could run it with Intrepid Sword and just start bashing through teams. I could run it with Poison Heal if I wanted it to be stally and slow. It's super versatile. It's really not weak to anything, and if I do want it to be not weak to literally anything, I can just slap Sap Sipper on it, and there we go. Get him on with no weaknesses. It boosts its attack. So I think Swampert, I think it's really good, honestly. It just has, and it's one of those mons that's been around for a while, and this is a format where you can use legacy moves, so anything that Swampert has ever been able to learn is pretty much compatible with it now, thanks to the way that like the ability patch works and the new egg move mechanics in Sword and Shield. This Swampert can learn anything on this list in any order, and I think this list doesn't even have the moves that got removed, so if I wanted to, I could give it like, I don't know what moves that got removed that Swampert would use, but if there's any, it could use them. So that's Swampert, and I wanted something else to take advantage of the fact that Swampert's going to lure in grass types, and oh shit, these guys are going to lure in ground types and fire types, so I thought Moltres would be a pretty good fit. This is normal Moltres, but instead of using Pressure or Flame Body, I can use something like Magic Guard. So hey, I don't have to run heavy duty boots on it every week. I can switch in to Stealth Rock as many times as I want and not take 50% damage. Or if I want to do something more offensive, I can run something like Sunny Day or Desolate Land, which is super, super nice. That removes the water weakness, and it also powers up my fire attacks, turns Weather Ball into just an absolute cannon. And the reason why I ended up picking Moltres, I was originally going to pick Arcanine, but that was stacking too many ground weaknesses, because I wanted to see how many fire types there were that learned Morning Sun. So there's these guys right here. I'm not picking Rapidash. Volcarona. Volcarona's a good choice, but I wanted something that was a little bulkier. And Arcanine had the ground weakness that I didn't want. So I picked Moltres. And with Desolate Land up, I can run a defensive Moltres that has a button I can just click and heal 66% of my health, which is so, so nice. You get a Protect in there. You can help scout for rock moves to make sure I can play around those. And I think if I'm able to dance around rock moves, my only weakness that I could really get hit by is electric, assuming Desolate Land is up, and that's just so cool to me. Honestly, I'm excited to use Moltres. When I first signed up for this, I started playing some games of almost any ability on the ladder, and I was using a Desolate Land Moltres with Weather Ball, and It does so much damage. It's amazing. It's so fun. And even if they do switch in with a Primordial Sea counter, changes to a water type move, and you do a little bit of damage to them. So it's not a total loss. So that's Moltres. I'm really excited to use it, and I think it's going to be a good fit. Next, I went looking through the tier list. I'd already wasted a lot of points on these guys. Oh, so this is a tier draft, by the way. So Zeraora is my tier 1. Melmetal's a free tier 1 pick. Tier 2, tier 3. And I was looking around, and I realized a lot of the tier 5s are just kind of absolute garbage. So I wanted to pick one that I knew could put some work in before anybody else grabbed it. And given that this is almost any ability, and I can give anything I want, Prankster or Mold Breaker, I decided to go ahead and pick Smeargle, who obviously I don't have to show you this because Smeargle learns every move in the game. So every week you have to be ready for Smeargle. You have to. It's honestly pretty much unpredictable what it's going to do. It can run Spore to instantly sleep anything, run any hazard in the game, any pivot move, any utility move, and if I want to, I can make it always go first with Prankster. But Smeargle's definitely kind of a big flashing red light to bring Magic Bounce against me. So if I lead Smeargle, probably odds are switch into Magic Bounce user, then I can just kind of take it from there. I can pivot Smeargle out right away, knowing that that's probably coming in, or I can just wait and see what happens. And it's super versatile. And if I run Prankster Smeargle a lot, people could start to get conditioned to that, and then I can switch it up on a week, run Mold Breaker, which obviously it announces that it has Mold Breaker, but still, the thing you brought to counter Smeargle is suddenly no longer countering Smeargle, and if I have a Sash, I'm always getting one annoying thing done before I go, and that's just, it's so, I don't see how Smeargle is possibly tier 5. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it sucks in this format, and I'm just new and ignorant, but I really think Smeargle could have at least been a tier 3 with how versatile it is. And I mean, it's gonna die every game I bring it, because I'm either gonna just make a bad move and it's gonna get killed, or I'm gonna sack it because it has no stats at all. But honestly, if Smeargle can get up like one hazard and maybe put one thing to sleep, that's really all it needs to do in a game. So I picked Smeargle, and so I was the wheel in this draft, by the way, so I got to pick my 2 picks right back to back. So I couldn't plan too far in advance because like my picks were like 32 apart, or I guess 30 apart. Oh no, this was cut in half, so they were like 16 apart. Still, so I was looking at my team and realized I'm kind of overstacked on my physical side. Zeraora and Moltres, they're special. Well, Zeraora can go special, Moltres is special. So I wanted something else that could be a big special breaker that could do a lot of damage. And I was looking through the history of the viability rankings, and I saw something else that was banned last gen and totally free in this dock. So I went ahead and snapped it up. And that is Hoopa. Oh, yeah, look, it says illegal down there. Where is it? Yeah. So Hoopa Unbound is illegal, and that is because of these stats. It has ridiculous offensive stats. It's decently specially bulky. It's a little slow, but I mean that's what a sticky web from Smeargle can do for you. But honestly, Hoopa is just absolutely ridiculous how strong it is. 160, 170 attacking stats. I can give it any ability I want. I'll put a Life Orb on there with Magic Guard. I'll put Sheer Force on there with a Life Orb. Start spamming Psychic and Dark Pulses. Or I can do Tough Claws and go physical. It really doesn't matter. And Hoopa has a really sick move that it learns called... what did it get? Is it like a removed move? Well, it learns Hyperspace Fury, which is 100 base power, never misses, breaks Protect, and it's a physical Dark type move, so... I'll have to see if it makes contact. I can do that with Tough Claws, but it's so strong, man. And it's just enough. It has just enough bulk where it can take a special hit. It dies to a single U-turn, which is gonna kind of suck to play around. But Hoop is just such a good breaker. Honestly, I think I just really need Melmetal and Hoopa to break teams, and then Zeraora to come in and clean up, with Swampert and some other members of my team to kind of help me pivot around and get in my big offensive pieces where I need them to be. But Hoopa really doesn't have anything fancy, I don't have any special plans with it, but it's just gonna click buttons, man, and just start picking up KOs. After that, it came back around to me, and it was my 4th round out of 5 that I got to pick. So I was looking through the viability stuff again, and I just kind of picked 2 mons that I thought would be okay. So one is Deblade, And I had Doublade last season, the VBL Season 2. I really didn't... I think I brought it to 2 games at the end of the season, but I never really found a good way to use it. Oh, excuse me. But in singles, with an Eviolite and something like Regenerator, this thing is he is so nice. He's so nice. It's so cool. I mean, his special defense is kind of garbage, but boost that up, give him a Eviolite, he'll live forever. You can do something like Flash Fire, Levitate if you need to help out some of his abilities. You can give him like Filter so he takes less damage. But I think honestly just this with Regenerator will be a clutch pivot. Be able to get in on pretty much any hit. I mean, this thing can live like any physical hit, even if it's super effective, I bet. And then just pivot out to whatever I need to come in instead of it. It's really nice and has a really good defensive typing. And on this draft, I tried to focus more on not overlapping my typings. I'm still trying to see if my hypothesis was right or not. From Season 3 of the VBL, I hypothesized that you don't really need to have every type. And yeah, I'm doing okay. I just got dunked on by Steve today, but that was more of him being a good player than me not having enough types to cover him. But I'm going back to kind of just fill out my typings here and seeing how I go in this, or how I do in this. So the Blade helps me out with that. I get another ghost type. Well, sorry, I get another steel type, my first ghost type, and I think it's going to be a real help. And with the Blade, I paired it with, I wanted a fairy type. I also wanted a dragon type, but I only had one pick left for this round. And I decided that I could just combine them into one. With Mega Altaria. It's funny, they talk about Fairy Dragon Steel Core, but realistically, if you do a Fairy Dragon plus a Steel type, you have all the resistances you need. Everything this guy's weak to, Melmetal resists. Everything Melmetal is weak to, this guy resists. Well, I guess except ground, unless I switch in when I'm a flying type, so that's pretty cool. So Mega Altaria, the way Mega Evolutions work in this is you get to choose the ability of the base form, and then when it Mega Evolves, it turns into whatever ability it would typically have, so it will be Pixelate when I Mega Evolve it. But that means I could switch it in with something like Magic Guard so I don't take hazard damage, or maybe if I want to run physical, I could switch in with Intrepid Sword to get a boost, then Dragon Dance up, turn into a Fairy type, and blast through everything with Fairy type returns. But I really think Mega Altaria is pretty nice. It was in the tier where you don't gain or lose any points from it, and it's which kind of would mean that like it's not really anything special, but it doesn't suck, but it's not special. But I think it's well-rounded enough that I can do pretty much anything with it. When you look at those stats, it's pretty flat across the board. So it can kind of do a lot of different things. It could be defensive, it can be a cleric, I think it learns like aromatherapy, right? Or does it not? Heal Bell, maybe? Nope. Okay. Well, I'm sure it can do something. I'm sure it can do something for the team. Then I came down to my last 2 picks, and I just wanted more support. I have my 3 big breakers. I have Cleanup Crew kind of with Zeraora and Altaria. I have some pivots with Swampert. Moltres also learns U-turn. I forgot to mention that, so it can be a pivot as well. And I just wanted some general kind of support. So first one I picked, I wanted another good fairy type with a lot of support moves. And I saw a little familiar face from VGC. And it's Clefairy. So Clefairy, another mon that'll probably always have the Eviolite because Taunt's probably not going to be brought as often in this format, because you can just, if you taunt wrong into a magic bounce, you're done, and it's a huge loss of momentum for you. So I would probably just bring an Eviolite on this thing every week. Oh, you know what? I'm stupid. You also there's no item clause in this, so it doesn't matter if I have 2 Eviolites on my team. So I can just bring this in. It dies to almost nothing with an Eviolite, especially if I give it like Filter or maybe the multi-scale kind of thing. So it's going to stick around. It learns a ton of moves because it's Clefairy. Or I can give it Prankster and just let it do whatever it wants. One thing I was thinking of is this thing learns Healing Wish. So I can come in, I can switch out one of my breakers when they're almost dead, bring in Clefairy, it'll live the hit. Then I can just Prankster Healing Wish on the next turn to bring my guy back in at full health. So bringing Melmetal or Hoopa back to full health could be clutch, also Zeraora or really anybody else. Clefairy's probably going to die a lot of the times it shows up, but I think it'll sacrifice itself for a noble cause. And last member of my team, I didn't really know what to do. I just wanted something in tier 5, so I just asked my wife what I should pick. And so she chose one of her favorite Pokemon, which is Meganium. You gotta love Meganium. Super cute. Doesn't learn very good moves, but I think in this format, when I can give it a good ability, I think I can make it work. It gets aromatherapy, so it can be a cleric. It gets, that's about it. It gets screens. Yeah, it's really not anything special. I mean, it can be really, really hard to take out if I give it something like poison heal with a leech seed. Then it's just a real pain, and I could just kind of do facade stuff from there. But I think it'll be nice. I think Meganium is a pretty good candidate for Prankster to keep my team healthy with its aromatherapy. It can also synthesis and set up leech seeds with priority. That's really all I got for Meganium. So overall, when you look at my team, I didn't have the little, hold up one sec. Okay, yeah, I'm back. So I've got my little thingy pulled up here. I actually ended up having only 2 duplicate types, but they're the 2 best types in the game, so I'm fine with having 2 steels and 2 fairies on my team. My only net weakness is to ground, which kind of sucks. That's a super good type, but I mean, the most common ground move is Earthquake. I can run grassy terrain on any of these mons and then instantly just cut that, pretty much just get rid of that weakness and get a nice little extra leftovers boost each turn. Other than that, I have some neutralities here, but I really don't think that'll be too big of a deal. I think mainly the key to success with this team is being able to pivot around and get in Melmetal and Zeraora and Hoopa. And after I get those guys in, they're going to pick up KOs whenever they show up. So I think it's really about being able to get them in safely and then to just do as much damage as possible from there. So I think I was able to support that with Swampert, with his pivoting potential. Moltres can do that too, as well as Clefairy. So yeah, I think that's pretty nice. Obviously Smeargle shows up on all of these. I only have Stealth Rocks as my hazards besides Smeargle. I only have a couple pivoters besides Smeargle. Oh, another reason I wanted Clefairy is because it can do a really slow teleport, or it can do, if it has Prankster, it can do like a fast baton pass or a slow teleport. So kind of can switch it up a little bit. Clefairy is also a great cleric. Fake out, only Zeraora, doesn't really matter as much. Yeah, so I mean that's really all I got. It's an interesting start. I think it's an interesting take on a team. First game will be next week, so I will see how I do then, and I'll record a team builder and battle and all that. So hopefully this is the start of a great league. I'm sure it will be. It's a super exciting format, and I'm looking forward to playing in it. See you later.